So I've been hitting the books, and there's some weird stuff about this mansion.
I thought so. It's kind of... Good evening, Phantoms, and welcome to Midnight Monster-Rama, where we dig our eyeball teeth into some really creepy features. I'm your host, Nick.
And I'm Byron.
And this is Paul Rudd.
And tonight, you know what it's time for? We're doing another Halloween.
Yay!
Halloween 7.
I'm so excited.
Halloween water, as it's called. Halloween H20.
Oh, I get it. That's a funny joke.
What do you know about Halloween H20, buddy?
I'm just glad Jamie Lee Curtis is back. That's all I care about.
So it's 1998. It's the 20th anniversary of the first film, and they really want to do something special. So they get Jamie Lee Curtis to come back. They erase the timelines of 4, 5, and 6. They just say this is the real sequel of what happened after part 2, which is probably the best way to go after how convoluted things started to get. They got Steve Miner to direct, and I know you like this guy because he did Friday the 13th Part 2 and 3. He also did House. He also did Warlock. LL Cool J's in there. Michelle Williams, hot off Dawson's Creek, you know, she's in there. Introducing Josh Hartnett. Hip young cast, kind of going for the Scream vibe, maybe.
Seeing that it was filmed in 1998, I'm not surprised, because after Scream came I Know What You Did Last Summer, but I'm actually hoping for something a little bit better, seeing that Jamie Lee Curtis is back in the reins.
Yeah, so I think it's about time, man. Halloween H20, let's dig in.
I can't believe it's not Waterworld. Or the different title, Michael Myers Gets Moist. Water joke. It's a water joke. Can't you see this?
My brother killed my sister.
How'd he do that?
With a really big kitchen knife.
That's enough.
And like she looks like she exactly comes out of the pages of the book itself.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Like Junji Ito just like handpicked this person. Maybe.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So.
But look at that.
What?
We're back.
Oh God.
What happened?
I don't know. Like
Tomie, it's coming.
Tomie never dies.
Halloween H20. Nick, what'd you think, man?
I was actually quite surprised with it.
Yeah.
And especially after the last movie we saw, I was not looking forward to anything else. I was just like, just bring on the new movie that's coming out this October. Let me watch that. Let me enjoy it. I'm through. This one was great because Jamie Lee Curtis comes back. Ah, thank you.
Probably more rewarding that you got to see it right after 6.
Yeah, exactly. It was like a breath of fresh air.
My big takeaway watching it this time, in the past, I was a bit of a gatekeeper with Halloween. When I first saw it, I thought, this movie feels like it was just made to cash in on Scream. Feels like it was written by somebody who doesn't know Halloween like I do. You know, like, bullshit. That ending, I was like, come on, this is what someone's dad would say, how they would say to end this. Oh, why don't they just cut his head off? That'll do it. Completely different perspective watching it this time.
This is what I like about this show, is that like these are my first times watching these films in full. I just want to see if Byron gains a new perspective on anything that we uncover. And prime example. All right, let's dig in.
Let's get the bad out of the way. And
Okay.
I'll start. I don't like Michael Myers in it. The main thing, and I don't like to harp on the masks, like we've kind of to ourselves talked about some masks that maybe work better than others, like the one in part 6, isn't that great?
The mask in part 6 was ridiculous. It looked like Blade from Puppet Master.
Of all of them so far, the only mask that truly bothers me is the mask in Halloween H20. And this is the main mask. There's like 4 different masks in this movie because of reasons. But the main one that you see most of the time, there's a lot of space around his eyes, and you can see his skin real clearly.
Yeah.
It's real nice and young 35-year-old man skin, not burn up Michael Myers skin. Same with his hands. They're fresher than my hands. It's just a little bit weird when they acknowledge that she watched him burn in part 2.
What if the curse of Michael Myers, as it is, seeing that he's, you know, evil incarnate, Maybe if like he killed Loomis, it was like a quickening, like Highlander. You know what makes a movie great? Decent acting, good plot. You know what kills a movie? A bad soundtrack. Here's the elephant in the room. Nothing is scary about Creed, except that it's Creed. I admit it. I owned one of their albums when I was a teenager. That didn't last. But that was another ongoing trend of the 90s into the 2000s. I remember going to see Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire in it, and that ending happens, and he's going through the city and stuff, and you're feeling really pumped. The music's building up, the music's building up, the music's building up. You get the hero and seagulls and and you just feel like this adrenaline rush going, oh, sorry, and then just leave. Like, they could have thrown in, the Ramones singing the Spider-Man theme or the Beastie Boys or something very New York. Like, New York Dolls would have been awesome. And that's kind of how I felt about Halloween. Halloween could have easily had an LL Cool J track. What happened? Like, in the early 90s, that was like the greatest part of any film. Waxworks 2, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You always had some rapper rapping about like the whole plot of the movie. And you know what? I ate that up. But getting something like, I'm dark and mysterious, it really puts the pie in the face to Michael Myers. That's like getting record execs to come over and go, hey, we don't know crap about this movie. Let's pee on this disembodied head. You could have thrown in Red Hot Chili Peppers. They were in their prime. Get Mike Patton involved. He did Crank 2, and that was awesome. Hollywood, listen to me and listen to me well. You want to make a good movie that's memorable? Fine, do it. But when the ending of the movie happens, don't give us this crumbly, massive, chalky, flavorless garbage to make you go, buy the soundtrack if you love America. It's like, no! Give us like something that makes you feel the damn movie. Seven had it right. You had David Bowie, The Heart's Filthy Lesson. It's like one of the greatest songs ever written from one of the greatest albums that nobody ever talks about, Outside.
Yeah, it didn't really bother me too much. So I didn't like the Michael in this one, really. I felt like the way he was depicted seemed a little bit too much like he was extremely human, which then kind of didn't go with that he's not burned all of a sudden, which just, I don't know, it felt a little off.
He was a little bit more like a cartoon, like you'd see in like Scooby-Doo. He wasn't as menacing. Like when you saw him come up, you're like, yay, here he comes, instead of going.
It's a little lacking in the October atmosphere that you want from one of these.
Yeah, you didn't really feel like it was Halloween. But a ton of candles. Where did all these kids find the candles? They're just like, hey, we're gonna have this secret party, but let's set the mood. Like, what is this, The Crow Part 2?
Crow 2 director's cut. I know someone has it. I want it.
So you know me, I'm more of a music guy than a movie guy. So what other movies has Josh Hartnett been in?
The Faculty.
Haven't seen it.
Hollywood Homicide.
Nope.
Sin City.
Yeah, I've seen that. Who was he in that one? Was he the yellow guy?
No. Lucky Number 11.
I loved him in that movie. Okay, sorry, Josh. Good movie. I love that movie because when me and my girlfriend got together, she introduced me to that film. What other movies has he been in?
He had that show, Penny Dreadful. 30 Days of Night.
Nope.
Pearl Harbor.
No.
The Black Dahlia.
I like that band.
Wild Horses.
I like that song.
Stuck Between Stations.
You know, when I used to work in an adult novelty shop, I think we had that movie.
Wicker Park.
What, with Nicolas Cage? Oh God, not the bee! What else I didn't like? Like the tropey 90s-ness to it just wasn't all that great to me.
The horror genre was lost in the 90s of not knowing what its identity was, I think.
Yeah.
And then Scream kind of gave it a false Diet Coke of slasher film identity of these are super safe, not too gory, not too, just very tame slasher films.
Right, but I think if we crawl back to the very first Scream movie, it's probably going to change our minds entirely. Because I remember watching that when I was a lot younger, and it was mind-blowingly good. Like when I came in just completely pessimistic, going, "This is going to be hot garbage."
Well, yeah, it's a good movie.
It turned out great, but then once it got replicated, it just lost its flair, it lost its danger, it lost its flavor.
Which some would argue that's what happened with Halloween, and then you had all the imitators back then. Let's talk about what's good about this movie.
It's about damn time.
So my biggest change in perspective is watching it now. Well, all that stuff, the negative stuff's kind of there. This movie really plays. It's fun, it's fast-paced, it's exciting almost the whole time. All the characters are pretty likable. It completely excises all this baggage. I love all the sequels, but man, part 6, like you felt all this baggage that had been picked up to try to add extra meaning to the story or add extra layers that was completely unnecessary. So it was a breath of fresh air to watch this movie and be like, oh, we're free of all that. We can just tell a fun story that happens on Halloween with Michael Myers. That's what we want.
It played like a well-written graphic novel. Like, say you go to the comic book store and you go, oh, hey, they have a horror section of comics. The H20, what's this? And you realize it's a Michael Myers story. You're like, oh, this is kind of cool. Jamie Lee Curtis comes back in full force and does what I always thought she would have done in any other sequel. That's why I thought part 4 was subpar, because they killed off the most intriguing character. Loomis and Laurie were both just like the main meat of the story. And you had the antagonist, which is Michael Myers. So it kind of brought out this really good story. And it turned out to be a lot of fun.
I gotta give a shout out to Michelle Williams. Like, she's, John, she's actually balances John out a little bit,
Oh, yeah.
He's gotta be all brooding and stuff, and she's fun and light, but she plays it so well because she's such a talented actress that it really adds a good dimension to the scenes when they're together and then when they're in peril.
Yeah, if she wasn't there in the movie and it was just John and a couple of friends and stoners and stuff, it would be bland and you wouldn't really care what happened to the kids. Michelle, she really had that hometown girl thing going for her. But she was smart, she was on point, and she was about it. And I think this movie definitely was all about the ladies on this. Like, they were the smart ones. They were the ones who would be more gutsy.
But watching the movie this time, I actually think the ending is great. If you think of this as a self-contained graphic novel or something like you said, when she stands there and just, bam, knocks his head off, it's like, very rewarding way to wrap this film up. And if you could stop here and be like, for me, which a lot of people have done, they're like, part 1, part 2, and H20, that's my Halloween franchise.
Wow. No, I never thought of that. That's actually a really good way to put it. H20 did what part 3 should have done. Cut out all the fat, cut out all the useless exposition, and just get right to the nitty-gritty. You know what? I'm going to give this one an 8. Because it certainly has its flaws, but as you said, you can watch the first, the second movie, and then follow it up with that one, and you have a movie party right there that's just awesome. Whereas you could just have part 4 and 5 together, and that's just as much fun, if not even better. Part 6 we could just forget about completely. And part 3? Yeah, have a party and enjoy the heck out of it. I'd just like to make a director's cut of it of my own. What do you rate it?
I give Halloween H20 a 6 out of 10.
A 6? Why a 6? Because it just changed your mind, right?
It did, yeah. It definitely brought it up. But when I look at the series as a whole, this is a pretty good entry. Like, this is not a 5 like part 6, which I know you gave that a 1.
That was unfair of me. I give it a 3 because third place is the first loser.
Obviously, it's a better movie than The Curse of Michael Myers. but it's still not quite what I want from a Halloween movie.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not one I would watch over and over quite as many times. It was great to revisit it, and it does bring it up a little bit, and maybe it'll go up further in the future, now that I've got a little more love for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think 6 out of 10 is where it falls right now for me.
Yeah. I think later on we might try that. Just do like we watch 1, 2, and H20 just to see how it all fits.
Yeah, so that was good. Are you ready for next week?
If I must, I must.
We're hitting a kind of milestone because next week is Halloween 8, aka Halloween Resurrection.
With Busta Rhymes!
Yeah.
With Busta Rhymes.
And that is the conclusion of the original series, really, before they do the Rob Zombie remake. So we've come a long way, buddy.
Whew. We certainly have. Even though we've come a long way, I wish we knew exactly where the heck we are.
I'm starting to like the mansion, though. It's pretty cool.
It's cozy. It really is. It's
I
just
could live here.
really annoying with all the apparitions. Which
I read something about that.
Any of them named Horace?
No, that rings a bell. Something from...
Were you hit in the head as a kid?
I was.
At like
in the woods.
13, 14 maybe?
With the wild... Yeah, anyway. Thank you, Phantoms, for tuning in. We're going to retire.
Got some repressed memories there, Buckaroo? You want to rock talk about it?
Yeah.
Have a little rap about it?
No, we will.
Yeah,
Let's just
yeah,
tell these guys to like and subscribe and hit the bell icon so you'll know when the next episode comes up. And thank you so much for watching.
Absolutely, and make sure to comment and let us know how you felt about this film. Like, did you like it? Did you hate it? What was your reaction to seeing it the first time? And of course, Phantoms, as always, I am Nick.
I'm Byron.
And this is Horace.
There is no Horace.
Yes, there is. Good night!
That sounded like Horace. I hope he's okay.